CBS News' Robert Costa recently published a piece in the Washington Post that reported on the ramped-up speculation that Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin might be reconsidering a late entry run for the Republican presidential nomination in 2024. Here's the key bit from that story. Let me quote from it. Drafting Youngkin as a last-minute addition to the sclerotic Republican presidential field is something that has lingered for months as a donor fantasy, a whispered, can you imagine gambit, rarely meriting much discussion because there has been widespread hope that anybody, would gain traction against former President Donald Trump. But now, fantasy talk of an audacious, break-the-glass moment for the anti-Trump faction has morphed into not-so-quiet consideration. Okay, there's that. Now, the Costa piece goes on to quote several major donors and former Attorney General Bill Barr, I'll note, expressing interest in a Youngkin candidacy and suggesting that if he did run, there would be ample financial resources there to back him up. Here's the thing. This notion is utter and complete bunk. And the continued speculation about a Youngkin candidacy is based on a total misreading of the Republican electorate. Let's first outline how these major donors think. So step one, they do not want Donald Trump as their nominee, believing he represents an existential threat to Republicans up and down the ballot. They also, I'll note, dislike him personally and dislike his supporters. Step two, they watched the recent Republican presidential debate, the second debate, which was a debacle by any measure, and left more convinced than ever that there is no viable Trump alternative in the field. Step three, Youngkin is someone who's proven, when he won the governorship in Virginia in 2021, that he could successfully unite the establishment and Trump wings of the party. So you think of all that stuff, and of course, they turn to Youngkin, even at this late hour, to save them. Now, here's the problem with that logic I just outlined. There's zero evidence, that their view is shared by the Republican base, also known as the people who actually decide on the identity of the Republican nominee. First of all, Trump is not just winning the Republican nomination. He is absolutely crushing the field. He's ahead of his next closest opponent, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, by more than 40 points on average. Add up all of the other candidates in the race, and they still trail Trump by a statistically significant margin. Second, the steady decline of support for DeSantis since he announced his campaign in the spring has not occasioned the rise of any other candidate to replace him. Even former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, the candidate who has the most positive movement in the race to date, is running 50 points behind Trump. Voters just seem uninterested in elevating a Trump alternative. Third, poll after poll shows that not only do Republicans strongly approve of Trump, but they also believe that he represents their best chance to win next November. In addition, lots of minds are already made up. A CNN poll conducted in September showed that more than 4 in 10 Republicans, 43%, said they have definitely decided to support Trump for the GOP nomination. That same poll showed 61% of Republicans expect Trump to be the party's nominee. Add it all up and you're left with this. There is no groundswell for a Trump alternative. None. Zilch. Zero. Which brings me back to the Youngkin thing. This is entirely a product of a major donor community that is deeply out of step and out of touch with the party base. They want another candidate because they can't accept the idea that Trump is who the party is nowadays. These are the same people who pushed Jeb Bush in 2016 and Ron DeSantis earlier this year. Youngkin is, like those other two candidates, their kind of guy. Business background, establishment conservative, by all accounts a pretty normal person, which honestly is the exact opposite of what the Republican base has been telling us they want for the past 6 or so years. Look, these major donors can provide money to Youngkin or to any other late entrant aiming to be the Trump alternative in the race. But what they can't really provide is grassroots support, because the grassroots want Trump and are well on their way to getting him. Look, Youngkin is a smart guy. My educated guess here is that he will understand this disconnect between donors and activists, not to mention the obvious hurdles to qualifying for the ballot and all that, and take a pass on the 2024 race. So what? The very fact that some within the Republican Party are still entertaining this fantasy speaks volumes. They have still not made peace with this basic reality. This is Donald Trump's party now. It's time to wake up.